There's not another position in professional sports where I have more sympathy for the guys who play it than the running back position in the NFL. If you're a young, aspiring football player with dreams of making it into the NFL, the last position that you want to play is running back. Because as a running back, you come out of college, you go into the draft, the amount of money you make, of course, depends on which round that you were drafted. Most teams don't like wasting first round draft picks on running backs, so many of them are drafted in the later rounds. They're not making millions of dollars. So you go into the NFL, you work hard, you give it your all, you become a star maybe even a superstar level player in your first couple of years. Then it comes time for your team to pay you. The team that you have sacrificed your body for the last 4 years. It is finally time for you to become a legitimate millionaire, make life-changing money. And what happens in the majority of cases? You get cut, and your team simply drafts your replacement because there is a fresh crop of young running backs entering the NFL every year. And statistics show that by the time you hit 25, you're passing your prime years. For this reason, I am usually against paying running backs in the NFL, but there is always an exception to every rule. And I'm about to make the case why it is critical for the New Orleans Saints to pay Alvin Kamara. And they need to do it now. I made a video a few months ago outlining why I don't want the Saints to pay Alvin Kamara. But my mind has changed a little bit. I'm going to explain why. Kamara walked out of training camp last Friday. Hasn't been seen since. The absences are being deemed unexcused. But we all know what this is about. He wants more money. And he wants it now, even though he's got a year left on his contract. And you can't really blame Alvin Kamara for wanting more money right now. He has been one of the best dual threat running backs in the NFL the last 3 or 4 years. And for his value, he has been making pennies on the dollar. In his first 3 years in New Orleans, he has made a total of $2.6 million. He is slated to make almost that much this year. First of all, there are some Saints fans that are concerned with this holdout, thinking that Alvin Kamara and the Saints are having some sort of dispute over this contract extension. I believe the complete opposite. I think a deal is close to being made here. He has stated on a couple of occasions that he told his agent at the start of training camp to not tell him about the negotiations until a deal was close to being made. So, this would make sense what's going on right now. I mean, think about it. If Alvin Kamara and the Saints are close to putting pen to paper on a contract extension, the last thing that he would want to do is risk an injury during practice that would kill any potential future earnings. I think we're close to seeing a deal signed between Kamara and the Saints. I'm supportive of the Saints extending Alvin Kamara, with one caveat. The deal's got to make sense. I don't want New Orleans breaking the bank for it, giving him Christian McCaffrey type money. Derrick Henry money, $10, $11, $12 million a year, I'm okay with that. Now, CBS is reporting that Alvin Kamara could demand up to $18 million. He would basically set the running back market. Now, that's just ridiculous. He is going to ask for that type of money. He's going to ask for Christian McCaffrey money, $18 million a year, whatever. But the Saints have all the leverage here. If Alvin Kamara misses more than 5 days of practice, he's screwed because he won't be credited his accrued season, even if he plays all 16 games this season. Which would mean, instead of him being an unrestricted free agent in 2021, he would be a restricted free agent and would be forced to sign with the Saints on a 1-year deal worth between $4 and $5 million. Now, let's get into my explanation why that I've changed my mind on the Saints paying Alvin Kamara. Like I said, there's always an exception. And this situation right now in New Orleans is a prime example. Look, this year is it for the Saints. This is it. It is Super Bowl or bust for New Orleans this season. And when I say bust, I mean bust. General manager Mickey Loomis has basically mortgaged the future for the Saints the past 3 years for the chance at another Super Bowl. And I'm not saying this to be hyperbolic either. Just about every other player on the roster has said that it is Super Bowl or bust this year. The coaching staff has said it. The Saints are favorites along with the Chiefs to make it to the Super Bowl. 2020 is going to be the last chance for a long time for the Saints to get that second Super Bowl ring. Mickey Loomis is one of the most creative general managers in the NFL when it comes to finding ways to create cap space. Since 2017, he has been borrowing money from the Saints' future to be able to pay Drew Brees and to be able to keep the roster around him and pay the talent. The problem is the note on that mortgage of the Saints' future, it's coming due. And 2021 is when the first payment is due to be made. New Orleans is going to enter salary cap hell next season. They are $40 million over the cap in 2021, and they've only got 53 players under contract for that season. With that being the case, with the future not looking bright, and with just about every other star player on the roster getting their money, it just doesn't make sense for the Saints to not go ahead and pay Alvin Kamara. He is a big reason why the Saints have won more games the last 3 years than any other NFL team. Michael Thomas owes a chunk of the money that he received last offseason to Alvin Kamara, because without him, he is going to get double teamed every down. And he doesn't have the speed to be able to create space to get open. Defenses have to account for Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield or lining up in the slot or whatever other gadget play that Sean Payton comes up with, which makes life a whole lot easier for Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara is even more valuable today than he would have been if he came into the NFL during Drew Brees' prime. It's no longer a well-kept secret. Drew Brees can no longer throw the deep ball. Everybody knows it. He was last in the league last season in deep passes. Drew Brees needs Alvin Kamara because he has the ability to turn a 5-yard pass into a 55-yard gain. Kamara gives the Saints offense an X factor, something that they desperately need with Drew Brees' inability to throw the ball deep. Kamara basically, he keeps defenses honest. He was a big reason why the Saints went 5-0 when Drew Brees was out last year. 4 of his biggest games of the season against Seattle, Dallas, Tampa, Jacksonville, all Saints wins, all without Drew Brees. Now, sure, his production tailed off towards the end of the season, but he was injured. I mean, he was playing hurt. He was basically used as a decoy the last half of the season. And even with him playing at about 50-60%, he was still able to gain over 600 all-purpose yards. Plus, with Alvin Kamara, he has a whole lot less wear and tear on his body than a guy like Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey. Kamara is only used on about 60-70% of the Saints' offensive snaps. He's not an every down running back. And a lot of his touches are as a receiver. So he's not getting beaten to hell and back running up the middle like your typical running back in the NFL. So Kamara could realistically be just as productive as he is now throughout the length of this contract extension. We all know that it has been a tough offseason for Drew Brees. He caught hell a couple of months ago for comments that he made about NFL players kneeling during the national anthem. Now, it's kind of funny how quickly things change, because I have a feeling if he made those same comments today, he would be praised for it, considering the fact that the NBA is currently losing millions of viewers because their players are kneeling for the national anthem and they're embracing this whole social justice movement. Either way, the Saints locker room was pissed off with Drew Brees. I mean, these guys were upset. Alvin Kamara was vocal on his thoughts about Brees' comments. And even though things have calmed down and the players seem to have forgiven him. Things seem better on the surface. You've got to think that in the back of a lot of these guys' minds, there's still some resentment towards Drew Brees. Well, Brees has a prime opportunity right now to rectify this situation even more. He needs to go to bat for Alvin Kamara. He needs to go to Mickey Loomis and tell him, do whatever it takes to get a deal done, if he hasn't done so already. And if Drew Brees has to pull a Tom Brady, give up a couple of $1 million on his contract for the Saints to get a deal done with Alvin Kamara, then that's what he needs to do. Not only will that mean a lot to Alvin Kamara, not only would that keep the Saints in Super Bowl contention, but it would also be a sign to the locker room that Drew Brees cares about his guys. Which, to be honest with you, is something that he shouldn't need to prove given his track record. But I'm telling you, I really think that the guys in that locker room are looking at Drew Brees differently after what happened this summer. Brees giving up money to get Kamara signed might not alleviate all of it, but it definitely is not going to hurt the situation. This current roster in New Orleans is the best roster that they've had since this playoff run began back in 2017. They have finally got a number 2 receiver in Emmanuel Sanders to complement Michael Thomas and take some of the pressure off of him. They've got one of the best defenses in the NFL. They are elite at every skill position on both offense and defense. Like I said earlier, this is it. This is it. 2020 is the last chance for the Saints to win a Super Bowl before Drew Brees retires and the team goes into some dark days. There's no heir apparent at quarterback to take over for Drew Brees. I mean, Taysom Hill, he's unproven. Jameis Winston's proven, but he's a proven interception machine. So even though I'm generally against paying running backs, against giving them a second contract, Alvin Kamara, in this situation in New Orleans, is the exception. It makes no sense for the Saints at this point to risk pissing Alvin Kamara off, a guy who's a key piece this upcoming Super Bowl run, over money. Get the deal done. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Appreciate you guys that are already doing so. Leave me a comment in the section below. Should the Saints go ahead and extend Alvin Kamara? And would you give him $18 million a year and have him set the market for running backs? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss? You can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.